Hello there, Tristan Ogilvie here, joining Lucy O'Brien.
Hey, Tristan.
For yet another Evil Within review commentary, this time for the third and final piece. It is the final piece,
It is
right?
This is the final
This
piece.
is it. This is the final piece of the Evil Within, The Executioner.
And just quickly, before we get started, I am playing this on an Xbox One, but it is also currently available on PlayStation 4, PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360.
Got it. So, I mean, first things first, most people who've been following this game, have been playing the previous DLC installments and the full game itself, will notice that this is a first-person game all of a sudden.
Yeah,
which is
so
a change.
the environments are, they're very familiar, but obviously now you are playing as a keeper. So those of you who have played previous Evil Within games will remember the keeper as probably the most memorable baddie in the series.
Right.
So he is the guy with a big safe on his head who can transport his body to other safes.
Handy.
So the Evil Within boss battle between the Keeper was a particularly memorable one for me. I loved it.
Right, and so obviously the gameplay has changed dramatically from particularly from the previous DLC installments, which were very stealthy and, the first one more so than the second one. But this is sort of just all out hammer time. Skull cracking, hammer time.
Yeah,
sorry, yes.
It is. No, I mean, it's not as sadistic as it sounds, because you are actually playing. I say that as I bash you guys' head in. You're playing as a man trapped in a keeper's body. So you are actually looking for your lost daughter, and I will say that this game is okay. This is I enjoyed it somewhat, but a definite highlight is the story, actually, because you are searching for your daughter, and you kind of like you're a big silent protagonist. You're sort of like a big daddy in BioShock. So, one of my issues with the Evil Within, the previous sort of installments of the game, there was just too much exposition, too much talking.
Yep.
And there's none of that in this game, and it actually lends a real elegance to the storytelling. And I got to admit, at the end of the game, I got a little lump in my throat.
Wow.
I was a bit tired that day, but still, it was. It's
been a long day.
It had been a long day, but it's quite a lovely sort of elegant story.
Now, I know this game is only 3 hours long, but does it advance much beyond just cracking dudes in the head with hammers in terms of the gameplay, or is it fairly one note?
It is fairly one note, and I did have an issue with that. Like you can see, obviously, I can switch up weapons and stuff here, but it's very sort of melee focused, and it's really, I gotta say, it's pretty easy.
Right. Yeah, well, because you're so overpowered.
You are a really overpowered character.
Right.
And even in the boss battles, which we'll move on to shortly.
Yep.
It didn't take me long to down them. And I got to say, for all the, I did find a certain catharsis in this kind of gameplay, especially in the wake of the stealthy assignment and consequence DLC packages. But at the same time, there was just very little challenge, which obviously really, it's kind of against the point of the Evil Within, which is, a series that sort of defined itself by originality and challenge.
Are we able to skip forward to a boss fight?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've jumped forward to a boss battle with the RPG Sadist.
So all of the enemies that you fight in this game are very familiar.
They're all taken from the main game? Right.
And basically the game just propels you from sort of the actual moving around the world is just kind of filler for these battles.
Right.
Which are fairly they're not easy, but there's very little imagination sort of involved in the actual fighting of these characters.
Okay.
I mean, this is like just
hammer to the
skull, which I actually screwed up just then. That was poor form.
I mean, I guess obviously the balance of power has shifted now that you're...
Yeah, and like as I've said, it is quite fun. You know, you remember sort of games like Splatterhouse and House of the Dead and Mad World on the Wii, if you remember. I mean,
or the Tears for Fears song.
Or the Tears for Fears song. They, you know, that this game shares a lot in common with those sorts of all-out carnage games. I'm doing a terrible job at talking and fighting right now. But
wow, you really are.
But unfortunately, this game lacks the finesse of those games.
Right.
So whereas those games had, you know, combos and stuff like that and sort of constant variation, this is just very much just fight the guy with your hammer.
With a blunt weapon.
And move on. And and that's it. And like, you know, obviously, as I've just shown right now, it's not a cakewalk, but it's just lacking in that kind of imagination that I really you know, that has really come to define the Evil Within, which is a shame. But it's, you know, it's still fun for what it is. It's just lacking that finesse.
Yeah. So I guess to sum things up, I mean, what would you score it? What would you tell people who are thinking about picking it up?
So I'm going to give The Evil Within, The Executioner, a 6.5.
Okay.
Not the greatest end for an otherwise great series, but it's short. It's a perfectly fine distraction for a good 3 hours.
Right. But not essential?
But not essential, no.
Okay, there you have it. Evil Within, The Executioner. The last that we'll see of The Evil Within for now, I suppose.
Yeah, until Shinji Mikami hopefully announces a sequel.
Yeah, which, I mean, you'd think would be likely given the success of the...
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got my fingers crossed for sure.
All right. Thank you very much, Lucy.
Thank you, Tristan.
For all things Evil Within, stay right here, IGN.